Coming up, we drive fast.
We're gonna call it 300.
And
There's a dead animal in my taillight.
there's laughter. And of course, strawberries.
I love strawberries. Welcome to what is a very clean and beautiful Bmw E39 M5. And today we are going to do an annual service on it. I've had this beauty for nearly 3 years now. It's my third E39 M5 and my favorite car ever. I initially did a ton of work on it. That was before I started YouTubing. Mainly preventative maintenance, and it's been very happy 30,000 kilometers ever since. Let's get it inside and I'll talk you through what we are going to do. Beep, 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 beep. Ah! There are several things that I do every year or after a certain number of kilometers on all of my cars as part of the service schedule. Engine oil on this particular car, I do it every 6,000 kilometers just because of the way I use it, and that is foot to the floor most of the time on the Autobahn. Otherwise, on your normal engines like an E46 or E32, max 10,000 kilometers or once a year, whatever comes first. Engine air filters and cabin air filters once a year, coolant every 2 years, brake fluid, depending on what type of fluid you're running, once a year or max 2 years. We're also going to upgrade the brake master cylinder today. Transmission and differential oil, every 50,000 kilometers is okay. I do it every 30 on this car, and we are going to replace them today. Power steering fluid, every 50,000 kilometers. And that's, I think, all of the fluids. So let's get oily and I'll show you underneath the car once we're done exchanging bodily fluids. And then of course we'll go fly down the Autobahn later. Sounds like a plan. Gonna start with the oil change since the engine is nice and hot. I just drove it on the Autobahn. And we are gonna first remove the oil filter. So whatever oil is in the oil filter housing can drain into the pan. Anything interesting in here? Nope. Put the cap back and get the car up in the air. Remove the plastic protection so we can have easier look around. $13 was it? So on every oil change, I collect an oil sample and send it to Blackstone Labs in the US, and they do the analysis and tell me the health of the engine and if there's like a lot of metal or something like that. So far I've done like 4 or 5 of these, I think, and all of them were like super clean. Oh no, drop the drain plug. Let's catch here. Whoa, perfect. All right, that's enough. Refit the plug. Make it good and tight. Nothing more, nothing less. And let's go up top and replenish it with oil. The engine oil. Prescribed oil from the factory for this car is 10W60, and that's what this engine saw ever since it was new. But I'm gonna try something else now. 10W60 is great oil, but it's really thick for cold starts, and especially if you live in colder climates like I do in Germany in winter, 10W60 it's like honey, literally. And recently I put 5W50 in the E60 M5 and I immediately noticed 3 things. 1, the cold start is much smoother, much quieter. 2, it gets up to operating temperature a lot quicker. And 3, the engine is just revving a lot easier and a lot quicker than before. When you give it throttle, it just goes a lot smoother, which comes with thinner oil. The oil spec is very similar to 10W60. Of course, it's a bit lower, but it should be fine in the long run. At one point, BMW actually prescribed 5W30 for this engine in the US. So some engines actually store that oil as well, but I wouldn't go thinner than 5W50. And I'm not trying to force anyone's opinion or give recommendation, just I don't care, use whatever you want. This is my car and I just want to experiment a little bit. If I like it, I'm going to keep using that oil. If I don't, I'm going to switch back to 10W60 and next oil change. Simple as that. And when it comes to oil, just keep up with the oil changes. That's the most important thing here. Fresh oil and regular oil changes will keep your engine happy. No Legos in the old oil filter. It's clean. Lube up the O-ring. Now get the oil and start filling the oil filter housing all the way to the top and slowly insert the new filter. It's more fun without the funnel. The oil capacity for this engine is 6.5 liters. I've put around 5.5, so now I'm gonna start it, let it idle, then shut it off, wait 1 minute, and then you pull the dipstick out and take the reading. Perfect oil level should be between minimum and max, so right on the half. That's how you take the reading on the S62 engine. Sounds about the same as before, but I had no change in sound when I put it in E60, so I'm not expecting anything there. Next up, cabin air filters and engine air filters. A little bit dirty. Pay attention to the airflow. But let's do the engine air filters. Again, a little bit dirty. You might say I'm crazy for replacing this, but that's my maintenance schedule. Ha. There you go. Ha. Finito. Now I'm gonna go for a test drive, and then tomorrow we're gonna do rest of the fluids. It's the following day, and I just wanted to quickly reflect on the oil change. I experienced the same things as I did on the E60. Cold start, much quieter, much smoother. The engine is getting up to temperature a lot quicker. Before with 10W60, when I drove from my home to here to the garage, it would never get up to temp. With 5W50, it did. I also drove on the Autobahn and the engine feels more alive. It feels like it's revving quicker, like it's a tiny bit faster. I mean, different oil is not gonna make your car go any faster, but it just feels more alive. And I like all of those things. When it comes to the sound on the idle of the engine, sounds exactly the same as before. And well, I like all of those benefits. Let's call them that. And I'm gonna keep at it. I'm gonna do another oil change with 5W50. I'm gonna send oil for analysis, see what the results are, and if I like it, I'm gonna keep using that. Just edit that out. And I want to talk about Gearbox in E39 M5 and Gearbox oil. If you own one of these cars or you've driven one, you're probably familiar with the second crunchy gear when the car is cold. Every time you start the car cold, you have to Arnold Schwarzenegger it into the second gear. And I own 3 of these cars. I test drove many of them, and it's always the same story. One of them was a really low mileage car, and just when the car is cold, it's just really difficult to shift into the second gear. As soon as it gets a bit warmer, it's shifting fine. And over the years,